So I told you that I had moved the seal in here in the last shop update. What I did this morning is I actually had the truck backed in here just so that I could take some measurements on it, and I've decided to go with a 22-foot. So welcome to another shop update, guys. As you saw from the beginning clip, I'm going to be basically concentrating on the bed of the International. There is going to be a brief other thing in here about the an air module that goes on my Dodge Ram. The airbags, the module went on the airbags, and I had to replace it. I got another one. They warrantied it, got another one, and I'm replacing it. But basically, it's going to be fabrication, and the layout for the bed of the truck. There's going to be a little segment in there about some other things that I bought for that too, paint, things like that. But basically, truck bed for the International. So that's what I cut the first piece, and I took the cut-off piece off, and kind of am seeing what I can do as far as setting it on. Now, some people have told me, oh, you got to put the wood in between. Other people have said, don't put wood in there. Just space it out with maybe washers or something like that. But you can't put it directly on top of it because you'll get a rubbing, squeaking effect off of it. I've decided to probably go down and see if I can get some very, to the Amish, and get some very thin oak that I can put in between there. When I say thin, like half or 3/4 of an inch thick, that I can put in there in between it. One of the things that I noticed is when I sat this on the top of the frame, this is flat. The frame actually has a little bit of a curve to it, so it's like flat for a while and then curves off. So if I put that in one spot, it rocks. So when I put it in, I've got to make sure that it gets in, even with the wood in between. It gets drawn down on that flat part, not the curved part, which would have a tendency of bowing the thing up at an angle. But anyways, just so you know, I am working on it. Got a call while I was editing the last shop update, and that part for the fan clutch, the rebuild kit for the fan clutch and my air leak in the engine is in, and I'll be stopping down tomorrow morning to pick that up. So it's a Saturday morning. I'm in the shop. I'm not sure whether I told you guys this or not, but my air suspension, I got that compressor and a remote, and I can inflate or deflate my airbags to whatever pressure I want. Well, it worked great for probably the first 3, 4, 5 months that I had it, and all of a sudden I kept getting an error code on it on the remote, and it wouldn't work. And I contacted Firestone. I called them, and I got this weird message that the entire staff was in a meeting and they couldn't get to the phone, and to call to leave a message and they would call back. Well, nobody ever called back. So there was an email address there too, and I emailed them, and a guy got back to me, and he said he wanted to know. I had supplied him with all the information off of the box, the numbers and everything, probably like a serial number, model number, serial number. So he wanted me to, on the back of the remote, there's some numbers, and he wanted me to give him that, what model or what truck it was on, and who I purchased it from. So I provided him with all that information, and he emailed me back and said, we're going to send you out a new module for this thing. Now, he sent this module out, and as you can see, there's a number on it, but there's a rev number on it, 4.0. Well, that's the exact the new part had that exact rev number on it. So anyways, I ended up replacing that today. And it works. It works just the way it worked when I first got it, with this thing on it. But again, let me tell you this. If I was a company, and I had a part that went bad, don't you think you would want the old part back to kind of try and figure out what went wrong with it? I mean, this part can't be cheap. There's probably solenoid valves inside of that, electronic solenoid valves in there, because you have 2 ports on it. This one that was cut off is a supply from the compressor or the compressor tank. This is like right and left airbag, and this is the exhaust port. So there's probably at least 3 solenoids in there inside of this thing. Now, what it did is it came up with an error code, and it just wouldn't function. Sometimes you could get that code to come off of the remote, but it really wouldn't function. You couldn't lower or raise the air pressure in the airbags. But the point is, this thing has got to be pretty expensive. I mean, solenoid valves in themselves are pretty expensive. Wouldn't you think a manufacturer would want this thing back and say, listen, what the hell happened to this thing? Why did it fail? And instead of maybe trying to rectify an issue that could be that people could be having with it, or this thing has, there could be maybe a 50 or 60 cent fix to this thing, getting another part, a better part in some cases or something, instead of having to replace the entire unit. I just don't understand manufacturers today, but maybe that's just me. Leave a comment. Give me your opinion on this thing. What I had to do is kind of I was in the process of moving the steel around and stuff, cutting the steel for the other truck, so to get my truck in here, because it was raining yesterday. It's not raining today, but it was raining yesterday. I just kind of moved stuff around so that I could get it in here and fix that. But anyways, I'll bring it back. Okay, this plank here is an oak plank, and what I did is I went down to the Amish and got it. It's oak, 3.5 inches wide, 7 inches tall, 9 feet long. It's rough cut. It hasn't been kiln dried or anything like that, of course. It was just, it doesn't feel real fresh cut, but definitely done this year. 14 bucks. Yeah, I gave him a 20, and I ordered the rest of the planking for the deck of the truck. Forgive me. What it's going to be is I'm going to rip it down into kind of narrow slats. And when I say narrow, I haven't decided yet whether it's going to be 3/4 or 1 inch thick slabs, and it's going to go between the frame rail of the truck and the I-beams that are going to sit on it that are going to support the bed. It kind of provides a little bit of a cushion in there. It keeps some flexibility in between the bed and the frame rails so that the frame can move, the bed can move a little bit. When I say a little bit, again, it's only the cushion of the oak that's going to provide the movement. It also stops the bed from potentially rubbing on the top of the frame, as it might shift back and forth a little bit, and from squeaking also. So there's that. And again, I've ordered the 2-inch planks for the bed of the truck, but I just thought I'd show that to you. $14 he wanted for it. I gave him a 20. He didn't even want to take the 20. I says, if you got a if you don't feel it's right, then just put that towards the cost of the planking, the extra money. It was $6, and the guy was really didn't want to take it. So as you can probably tell from all the sawdust laying around, and this is only just the stuff that I didn't sweep up. I got 3 shovels full of it out, picked up and put in the bin where I use the speedy dry stuff. So what I did was cut these planks out of that slab of oak so that it will fit in between the frame rails of the truck and the rails of the bed. 2 of them with a piece will fit on each side. Again, the thing is 22 feet long, but it's only 20 foot of the frame rail. So these things are 9, 18, so 2 of them are 18, and then a 2-foot piece probably in the center. However I want to do it, maybe I'll make that longer than a 2-foot piece. I'm not really sure. Cut down one of the other longer pieces and make it a little bit longer than a 2-foot piece, so I don't run the risk of that kind of falling out. But anyways, they were done. What I had done is borrowed a table saw, a 10-inch table saw, and it didn't work. First of all, it came like a 1/16 of an inch from making it all the way through that slab. But the other thing is it just wouldn't handle it. So what we ended up doing is using a circular saw and making 2 cuts. A cut on one side, then flip it over, cut the other side. And it came out pretty good. We were able to get it. We threw some chalk lines up there for the first cut, and got it through. And then what we did is put some guides on the bed of the circular saw, and just use the guides. It was actually a couple of welding clamps that we just clamped onto the bed of the circular saw, guided it down through. But it came out fine. I mean, there is a little bit of a ridge in some places where the 2 cuts didn't match up exactly, but it doesn't make any difference. Again, it's just going in between the frame rail and the bed rail. That ridge will compress down. It'll kind of seek its own level. But anyways, there's that. That's done. I just gonna give it a couple of days to dry out. So got that job done. Okay, so here is one of the bed rails that is ready to go on the truck. Now what I did is welded tabs onto them. This is going to be the back. So those tabs are going to serve 2 functions. What they do this thing is upside down, so it'll be flipped over. This is the front. Those tabs will fit over the frame rail of the truck and keep this thing centered in there, but also keep the wood in there, help keep the wood in place. So it's just a, call it me being anal and being overbuilt, but I just wanted to do that so that there's no possibility the bed can shift on top of the frame rail. It's going to be U-bolted down or bolted down, not bolted through the frame or bolted through the rail of this, but U-bolted, let's say, or two rods coming down with cross support pieces that will sandwich it between the bed rail and the frame rail. But these things would just serve to hold that thing on top of the rail for if it should ever shift. It can't shift very far. Now, these things aren't going to be tight against the frame rail, but they're close. They're probably within within a quarter of an inch on each side of it. So there's probably a half an inch of slop in there, a quarter of an inch on each side of it. And I designed it so that the inside was closer to the edge of the inside of the frame rail. I got the other one up on the stands. Going to be cutting the tabs and welding that on. Bring it back. Okay, so it's the next day from when I put the first frame rail on, and what I had to do is I was able to get the first frame rail on using the engine hoist up on the in the shop. That's the frame rail, the driver's side frame rail that I was able to get on in the shop. What I did this morning is hook the other frame rail up to the forklift and brought it out and set it on this one right here. So I just got it in position. The landlord is using the forklift to put some new siding out on the building. So I needed to get that done before he started using it again for the day. So I've got that. What I'm going to do is back it into the shop now. After he gets his equipment, he put the forklift in the scissors lift in my shop. So as soon as he's here and I get that equipment out of my shop, what I'll do is back this in and start putting some of the cross members on. I've got to cut them. I've got to get them out, start getting them cut, and then I'll start putting it on in the shop. I'll back this into the shop and start putting it on in there. Bird shit. I don't know what it is. It happens to my trailer too. It seems like the only place you can see it, all of these spots around here are from bird droppings. And I kind of think they set up on the cell tower, and that's where it comes from, and the wind blows it in here. You can see it all on the back of my trailer there. But anyways, there's that. And what I'm going to do is, I don't have those wood slats in there. I'm gonna just leave it like this. It doesn't matter whether the wood slats are in there while I'm mocking this thing up and starting to weld the cross members into it. What I'm gonna do is weld the cross members into it and then get the angle iron around the outside of it and then back it under the lift and pick it back off with the lift so that I can finish building it there. Finish building it on the lift off of the truck and get it painted and everything like that. And then I'll put it back on the truck and I'll probably plank it, put the deck on. Well, it's back on the truck, but when I put it back on the truck, I'll of course have the boards and everything back under it. Those slats that are going to go in between the two rails, I'll have them on. Just a brief shot. I've got the truck back into the shop, and what I've done is I had cut some of the tube steel, and I've started welding it on. I'm gonna do a couple in front, a couple in back, one in the middle, just to kind of hold everything in position. I got it, there was only a 1/16 of run out between the spacing from front to back. And then I measured it diagonally just to make sure it was kind of square, and there was an 1/8 of an inch difference, but I left it. Never noticed it on the truck. Okay, this is going to be it for day one of putting the bed on. It's a Tuesday. I don't have any more long pieces cut, so I'm going to move the truck out anyways, and I'll cut them either later this afternoon or first thing in the morning. So I need to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more of them. And then I'm not sure whether I'm going to build this out here. What I'm going to do is extend this out here, come back in and back in so that there's a plank or part of a plank at least going across here. Not that it's going to support a lot of weight, but then it'll kick back in, and there'll be another tube across there so that the kind of I've got notches out for the exhaust, but what this will be back here is a chain bin. There'll be a chain rack up there going up the back side of the cab, not on the cab, but supported off of the bed of the truck or off of the steel of the bed of the truck. And I'll hang chains down into that bin that is going to sit down there. Now, I only welded one side of these things. I've got to get back and weld the other side out too. And then add another one back here. Now this is going to be, there'll be a plate going down here. It'll have the tail lights, etc. in it. It'll be resupported back into the frame rail after it's done. I don't know whether I'm going to put a hitch on it. I might put a hitch on it. I'm not really sure yet, but I'll see when the time comes. So I had to buy a couple of things that I'm going to be needing for the bed build on the International. So one of them was a gallon of PRO or POR 15. It's that rust preventative paint, gloss black. Now, I'm probably not going to end up using the entire gallon on that, but whatever is left over I can use on the haul truck. Got some deck screws that are coming in. not sure if I told you guys, but what I got was oak. Yeah, I did tell you guys, because I showed you that slab of wood that I got and cut down to put in between the rails. So I've got deck screws, trailer deck screws. They're 5/16 by 2, I think, 2.5. I don't remember, but they're regular type deck screws for trailers. That's what they are manufactured for. It takes like a Torx 40 to put them in. I'll show that to you when I get them. Okay, so what I did today being Thursday, is get the 2 side rails on. I had to maneuver the truck in and out because that material was 40 foot long and it was kind of tucked up underneath the haul truck. So I had to drag it out, cut it, back the truck out, bring the material over here, and put, I backed the truck in and put the other side on, using the engine hoist to pick it up and hold it in place while I clamped it down. Can never have enough welding clamps. But anyways, that's what I did on that side. I welded out every other one so that it's in position. Then what I did is took the truck back out, pulled another 40 foot length of that out, cut it off to this, and put it over here, and then pulled the truck in as you see it right now. So yeah, there it is. Now probably tomorrow I'm gonna do some things. Now as you I'll walk you up to the front and you'll see that I extended the angle iron for the side past. So what there's going to be is a little bump out coming over here, and then it'll come back over there and extend over, and the same thing will happen on the other side, a mirror image of this side. But yeah, there it is. So again, what I'm going to do tomorrow is probably weld out some more on this, get the rear, the piece of angle iron across the rear, and probably start working on that front. And then what I'm going to do is I'll have to back the truck in and get the arms of the lift underneath the bed of the truck, pick it up and drive out from underneath it, and then I can paint it and do whatever I'm gonna do to it. I've got to weld it out, finish welding it out. Before I lift it off, I might mock up, tack in place the framework that's going to stick up for the chain binder rack. So I might do that. I'm not sure yet if that's going to happen beforehand or afterwards, but it will happen. I want that framework welded into the framework of this. So I'll fit the boards up against it, but it'll be welded solid into this so that it's secure. Like on my trailer, I was able to bolt it to the upright posts that hold the gooseneck, but I can't do that here. There's nothing to bolt it to. So yeah, there it is. Bring it back. Okay, so I interrupt this video for this. While I was editing this, the guy called me, the Amish guy called me, says, "I've got your lumber ready." Now it's Saturday. I got to make a haul on Monday. I'm gonna be gone for a couple of days. So I says, can I come down today and pick it up? And he says, yeah, sure. So I went down and got it. He says to me, I threw in some extra pieces, a couple of extra pieces, because he says there's quite a few knots in it. Now, to me, that's not quite a few knots, and I'm not really concerned about it anyways, because stuff will be sat on it. It's not like I'm going to be driving tracked vehicles over it where that could jeopardize the integrity of it, but I'm going to be setting stuff on it, so the knots really don't concern me at all. So he says I threw in some extra pieces, and instead of being exactly like 10 and 12, they're like 10 foot 8 and 12 foot 4. He says, will 190 work? I says, no, that's too cheap. So I gave him 250. But anyways, there it is. I just thought I'd show it to you before I put this video up. Okay, so this is Friday. What I did is came in and cut this piece of angle that goes around over the back. What I did is kind of finished off the corners, so welded that up and just ground it down so that it looks nice. So we have this piece of angle, and the board, it's a little lower because I put it, the angle went underneath the side angle, so it's like a 1/4 inch lower. So what I did is just tapered them down. The 2-inch planks will stick up a little bit, but I'm not really concerned about that. At some point in time, what I've got to do is make a drop in the bottom of this that's going to house probably the lights and a hitch connection if I decide to put a hitch connection on. The other thing I also did today was just kind of roughed in this little bump out up in front. Now, I've got 8-inch plate steel there. And what I'm going to do with that is it'll come up on the sides of this. So this is going to go, this is going to be like that on both sides. Don't look at that weld. I don't have a clue of what the hell happened. All of these welds were made at the same time. There's a terrible porosity in there, like the gas wasn't on, but the gas was on. Maybe a wind gust was coming through the shop while I was welding and I didn't notice it and it blew the gas away. I'm going to grind that out and redo it. But what will happen is it'll go back in there, go back, come back out and jut around that other exhaust. And then there's 8-inch plate that will come up on these sides and in the back to protect anything from going forward. Now the plates on the side will come up 8 inches, but what I'm going to do is taper them down to the same dimension as the 4-inch angle iron. So there's not just a big squared off plate sticking there. It'll be angled, provide better looks, catch less wind. But there it is. I'm probably not going to do any more on it until I get it off the truck. I'll have to bring my grandson over here. Again, what we're going to do is pick the entire thing up on the lift. That way I can finish it off, weld out all of the things that I didn't weld out while it was on the truck, and be able to paint it. But I'll bring it back. I'm just going to make a little closing video. I brought the trailer down here and unhooked it from the truck and brought the forklift down and going to take the wood up there. That friggin' wood is heavy. I bet you every one of them planks probably weighs between 80 and 90 pounds. One of the things that I wanted to do is just tell you, I'm not going to put a rub rail on this thing. What I'm going to do is put pockets for the sling hooks and D-rings for the chain binders on this instead of putting a rub rail. I just don't want to go to the aggravation of getting little pieces of pipe and trying to weld it in there. I'd rather just put, what I'll do is get pieces of 2-inch channel, probably 4 inches wide, because I use 3-inch straps and smaller. 4 inches wide, 2-inch channel, and then I can put the hook down in there and hook it onto the piece of a channel iron. It'll only probably be maybe 1.5 inches, 2 inches wide down there, and then I'll put them every 2 feet, and in between that 2 feet, every 2 feet I'll put a D-ring along the sides on both sides, so that I got plenty of securement places. But anyways, that's it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe, share it if you feel like it.